Okay, so Ridley. We're gonna talk about Ridley, guys. There's not a whole lot to say about this that I haven't said already. If you haven't watched my Ridley behavior tutorial, please do that, because it has a lot of really good information in it. So, for this PRKD talk for Ridley, here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover the X Factor strat. We're not going to cover a beam only strat. We're going to cover the normal or the old X Factor opener, and also the more recent one that QD did. You guys can still hear me, right? Yeah? Okay. OBS says you can, so I'm going to assume you can. And is the game audio volume okay? It's really low. It's set really low. I didn't realize that. Okay. I'll probably listen to a recording after and turn it up for runs if I feel like it, but... Okay, so we're going to cover the normal X Factor, we're going to cover the QD X Factor, and I'm going to talk about kind of like what to do in different situations. Like if Ridley only lets you do a 2x, how to handle that, or, you know, how to set up for a 4x, or, you know, stuff like that. So we're going to talk about that, and then I'll just talk about some general, like, beam strats after the X Factor. But again, if you haven't watched my Ridley behavior tutorial, at very least, please go do that. I would recommend watching that and the RBO one, because I talk about some beam strats and stuff in the RBO centric one. But they're on my YouTube, part of the RBO playlist, or you can just look at my uploads. I think it's episode 6A, Ridley behavior. Okay, so traditionally, coming in this room, hey, thanks for the bits, man. You want to have power bombs equipped, okay? And you don't want to run through this door. You just want to walk through the door, because if you run through the door, what's going to happen is you're going to go really far, okay? You can, I think... Oh, and you need to charge after the door, which means that you can't actually prevent Samus from losing momentum to land in the right spot. So walk through the door so that you can get in the right spot, okay? Don't hold charge before the door, hold it during the transition. So what happens is Samus will shoot as the door closes, and then you want to stand on this block, third from the left. That will set Ridley up to get hit by the first X Factor here. When the beams cross Samus the second time, that's when you want to run to the right. So they cross 1, 2, and then they hit. Okay. If you cross too early, they're going to go all wonky and they won't hit Ridley correctly. See? So yeah, on the second cross, you run over to the right. That's a good point. Though this song is actually really loud. The boss song is really loud, but I'll turn it up just a smidge. Okay. After your X Factor comes out, you want to switch to your ammo. Okay. We're gonna hit Ridley with 6 missiles here. That's what I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you want to immediately switch to power bombs and start charging for your second X Factor. One, two, three, four, five, 6. Now what's going to happen is Ridley's going to hit the wall up here after he flies up. he bounces off the wall, and you can hear that, okay? Boom. When that happens, you'll also see the screen shake. The background kind of shifts to the right a couple pixels. After that is when you want to jump, okay? You want to be standing on this 4th block from the right side. Around there, okay? Ridley's going to come down in a different spot every time, but he also is coming down kind of focusing on Samus. And so you just kind of need to be able to compensate a little bit depending on where he is. Kind of what I do, or what I did when I was doing the strat, is I would jump up and then push left a little bit to try and make sure that I was getting in a good spot. Yes. Because you definitely don't want a particle to miss. Okay. It's okay if a particle bonks on his tail, but you don't want it to miss completely, because then it will just be flying around the room. And that's bad. Okay. So yeah, that was good. All 4 particles hit him there. He has 15,000 health left now after the 6 missiles. Something else I was gonna say. There are some audio cues you can use, and I'll go over that, but I don't remember. Anyway, so that's the second X factor. You don't actually have to do more than this if you don't want to, but sometimes he will continue flying around after this point. Oh, that's right. You want to start charging your next X factor as he's flying up away. Okay, you don't want to do it too early, or you're going to have a bad time. Your X factor is going to come out too early, basically. So like that's still hit, but that's kind of how I try to time when to shoot to charge my second X factor. It's like as he's flying up and away. Now in RBO, we always wanted to avoid taking any damage here, right? But in PRKD, he's actually a lot more likely to fly up if we bonk him. See how he flew back up there? When he flies back up, that gives us an opportunity for a third X factor. Whereas if he starts pogoing, that basically just means that we need to move on to the rest of the fight, okay? Okay, so for this third X factor, what you want to do, if I can get him to do it again, there's this pillar in the background here. You kind of want to run to line up with that. It's not exact, so you could also just use the floor. But basically, you'll be over here, and you want to run and then jump up to hit him with the X factor, okay? Well, I mean, it's okay if Ridley pogos. It's RNG, really, whether he does. There's some manipulation to it, but if he flies back up, we can hit him with 2 more X factors, which is faster. There we go. Okay, so that's the third X factor. No, I'm not going to go over that, Nate, because I don't do that strat. I have no experience with the beam only fight because I'm bad at it, so. Anyway, you know what? I should talk about QD's opener, actually. But yeah, this is the old opener, and that's how I would handle it. Okay. So now we're going to talk about QD's opener, and then we'll move on with the rest of the X factors. Okay, so Cutie's opener, the way that it works, you actually want to turn around into the store. Okay. Because we want to be facing right as we fall into the next room. But you still don't want to shoot before the door or anything. So it's okay to run and jump in here. Just do a door check. Okay. And then what I do is I hold angle down and shoot here. As this X Factor crosses over Samus the first time, that's when you want to jump up onto the platform. And I aim for the third block from the right for kind of where I want to land. And what will happen is the X Factors will still home in on Ridley. Now it looks kind of the same, but they're actually hitting Ridley a little bit earlier, and we're in a better spot to be able to do a missile barrage on him. So you can actually do a 9 missile opener here, or you can do a 6 missile plus 1 super opener. And optimally, this is going to save about a second in the fight. Now also, in my experience, this actually seems to make it so that Ridley is more likely to cooperate with you. To get more X Factors and or just to handle the fight, the beginning of the fight a little bit more easily. But that could be placebo. Again, it's just kind of in my experience. Yeah, so you want to jump up onto the platform after the X Factor crosses over you the first time and then select missiles. Again, I do a 9 missile barrage. Boom. And then I immediately start charging for my next X Factor. And what I do here, since I'm further right on the platform, I do a step forward before I jump up. For the second X Factor. Okay. Again, you can kind of base it off the crash on the wall. Crash. Run forward, jump up, hit him with the X Factor. You also can use the music as an audio cue if you want to. Dun, 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 dun. I used to do that a lot in RBO. I kind of dropped it eventually in favor of the crash. But it is an option. Now I only got 8 missiles off there, so I just need to pay attention to that and hit him with 1 more missile. And the reason for that is because both supers and Spazer Wave Ice charge shots are going to do damage in increments of 300 and 600 damage. Missiles are only 100. And so in order for any missile hitting Ridley to be worth it, we need to hit him with at least 2 more. Because 3 missiles is equal to 1 Spazer Wave Ice charge shot. Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if you only hit him with 2 missiles, that's not going to speed up the fight for you. You need to hit him with 3. So only hitting him with 8 missiles means that we'd still have to do one extra charge shot, where hitting him with 9 means that we can do 1 less. It's a good setup. It's a little wonky, but you'll get used to it if you pick it up, and I really like it. Thanks, Easy. Okay, so we hit him with the second X Factor. He keeps flying up. Hit him with the third one. And a lot of the time when you hit him with the third one, he'll fly down. And he'll kind of hover above the platform. And that's where we can hit him with the 4th X Factor. So I'll show that. And I'm just not like, hey, Tex. Okay, so we saw, you guys may not have noticed, but as he was flying up out of the screen, he turned around. If he turns around like that, if you see his tail kind of flip like this, he's going into a pogo pattern. There's no exception to that. Okay, So if you see him turn around as he's leaving the top of the screen, it's time to bail on your next X Factor for sure, and just switch to the rest of the fight, which we'll get to. There's 3. For 4, you just want to keep charging after the 3rd one, and then you want to run over to the right side of the platform, jump up, turn around, and land on him with the 4th X Factor. There is a little bit of a nuance to the timing with that. Okay, see, so I had no idea what was going on there. I had a hunch that he was going to pogo, but... Okay, so I think we waited a little bit too long to jump there. If possible, you want to hit him with all 4 particles on that, and we hit him with 3, one of them bonked his tail. We whiffed a particle there. So at that point, you'd also bail, because you're not going to be able to get the 4th one off correctly if one of the particles is flying around. Also, you need to be careful with this 3rd one, kind of where you're connecting with Ridley, because if you're too far left, a lot of the time you're going to end up getting grabbed by his feet. I am amazed that I didn't just get grabbed right there. So I'll try to show that. So you kind of want to align yourself so that you're like on the right side of his claws. It was only 8. See that? Because if I was further left, like I said, I'm almost certain that I would have gotten like sucked into his grab. What is happening? I'm getting really mad about this. Ridley, be a douchebag like you are in runs and grab me, please. So that the nice people can see. If he slides down on the left side of the wall like that, there's nothing you can do. You just have to continue the fight. Like you're not gonna get a second X Factor off. Okay, there's the grab. See, so now everything sucks because we have this particle flying around. We can't shoot him. Okay, so we'll show the 4X setup a couple more times. I didn't do the step forward that time. There was actually one alternate that I did here where I would jump up first and then I push forward and aim down. And that worked. I think that might be what I did in my splice. Like that. And there's not really anything wrong with that either. Like if you find a setup different than mine that works better for you for your 3rd X Factor, your 4th X Factor or whatever, by all means do that. Okay? Like it's not a big deal if you don't do it exactly how I'm doing it. This is more just to illustrate like this is kind of what Ridley looks like when he's doing this stuff. Okay, so we hit him with every particle that time. So now he has 12,300 damage left, okay? Now, normally after hitting him with the 4th X Factor, you would immediately pause, come in here to your equipment, choose Ice and Spazer, turn them back on, and then you start the beam fight, okay? So I'll show kind of what that looks like. Freaking 8 missile openers, man. Okay, so as I got hit by him and as I saw the particles connecting, I paused, and then during the fade out, I started holding a charge shot. What that does is it kind of buffers the first few frames of Samus charging up her beam so that it will be ready to go as soon as possible after we're done unpausing, okay? So we're already charging a shot. We are equipping Ice and Spazer. Now we're going to unpause, and as the screen is fading out, we're going to go back to holding shoot. Notice I'm not holding any buttons right now because we're just in the pause screen, so it doesn't matter. But as it's fading out, you need to make sure that you go back to holding shoot. And then what will happen is Ridley will either come pogo like that, or he'll decide to stay up and swoop. Now, I talked about Ridley's pogoing and swoop patterns in my Ridley behavior tutorial that I referenced earlier in this video. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about what he does, but a TLDR, when Ridley starts swooping, basically what he does is he starts up in one corner of the screen. If you look at my hand cam, I'm going to try and show this, okay? He starts in one corner of the screen, like up here. What he'll do is he'll swoop down at you, okay? So like this, and he'll go back up to the other corner of the screen. This is really hard and awkward. And then after he does that, he'll try and grab you, and then he'll do another U swoop, okay? At the end of that pattern, I think it's before that last U swoop, he re-rolls his AI, and he says, okay, do I want to keep swooping or do I want to pogo? So every time he gets up to a corner of the room, he's going to make a decision on whether he's going to keep swooping or pogoing again. That is manipulatable to a degree. Like I said, I cover a lot of that in those other videos, so go check that out if you haven't. But yeah, so now, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about if like a setup fails, like, okay, you know, so we get 2 X factors off, and oh, he's pogoing, like, what do we do? So I'll like talk about that. Generally, you're not going to run into it with a third X factor. Almost always, if you get a third, you're going to have an opportunity for a fourth, but it does happen sometimes. So just basically, you need to be prepared to bail on your X factors, pause, and switch to beams at any point. Oops. Okay, we're gonna make a save state right here. Okay, so like here, notice we screwed up that third, so we just want to pause. There were particles flying around, thankfully they hit him, and then we just want to switch to charge shots, okay? There's also one other thing that I'll cover. Okay, so one of our particles started swinging around, so again, at that point we would bail on the strat, switch to beams, try and make that particle bonk him as quickly as possible. Okay, so like there, he decided to pogo. So we're gonna switch now. Alright, he went into... We jumped high. And when you jump high, that will potentially reset his AI. Basically anytime, this is another thing that I covered, but basically anytime that you jump over Ridley's midpoint, he's gonna re-roll his AI. But he can't start swoops until he's below a certain HP threshold. So he's just gonna keep pogoing this entire time because we've done like hardly any damage to him at this point. But yeah, you want to avoid jumping too high in the fight, unless it's part of the scripted jumps. Okay, so there's a pogo. Now, this is a good opportunity to talk about this. I start off the fight dumping all my supers into him. Most people don't do this. The reason being, notice that he's already enraged, and now we're going to be finishing the fight with charge shots. A lot of people find that really hard to handle him when he's enraged like this. They find it a lot harder to handle him when he's enraged than when he's not. The reason I do the supers is because I'm so used to the RBO fight that I'm actually just better at the flow of the fight when he's enraged than when he's not. Like I personally feel like it's easier to get DPS off with the flow of the fight when he's enraged than when he's not, but that doesn't mean that you should do that. Most people, what they're gonna do is they're going to switch and do charge shots until he turns red. So he went into a swoop here. Oops. Didn't mean to hit him with that. Okay, but yeah. So they'll do charge shots until he turns red, and then they'll count after that, based on how many supers they have. Okay, so he's red now. So at this point, usually people would hit him with their supers to try and get the end of the fight over with more quickly. And then it's 10 more shots after 10 supers. 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I had one extra because of my missiles. But yeah, so now he's dead, right? So that's what most people would do. They finish their X Factor openers, and then they'll just do charge shots on him until he turns red. When he turns red, it means that he's below 9,000 HP, like Tex said. Come on, dude. And so, assuming that you've hit him with the right amount of missiles, etc., he should be at 8,700, which would be 10 supers and 9 charge shots, or 9 supers and 11 charge shots, so on and so forth. I personally, I didn't ever pick up the counting charge shots after red thing, but I can absolutely tell you, like, it's got to be easier than what I do. So, but yeah, so like again, what I normally do is I load them up with supers, and then I just count the rest of my charge shots after that. And I think it's like 21 shots or something that I'm counting. I don't remember anymore at this point, but in terms of manipulating his swoops and doing DPS on him, again, this is something that I cover a lot in my other videos. But the best thing you can do to get better at doing DPS on Ridley during his patterns is just to fight him. You just want to fight him over and over. Eventually you're going to get a feel for stuff. I can go over some basics. I guess the main thing that I would say, when he does a U swoop up to the right corner, a lot of the time he's going to go really high. Here, we'll get a good X Factor opener, and then we'll save state in the pause screen. We'll talk some more about this. And if there were ever a segment for people to ask questions on, this would be it. I'm gonna be a lot better at answering questions about Ridley than just like saying stuff. So please, like, if you have any questions, please ask. If you do damage in multiples of 300 with, which will be everything with missiles, using here, yes, 9 shots after. Yeah. Okay, so we're charging a shot into the pause screen. We unpause, we continue holding a shot. I usually run over to the right side here, because either he's going to come down in a pogo directly on top of us right here, or he's going to end up in a swoop in the top left, okay? So if he's in a swoop, we can jump up and hit him like this. As he's coming down, you want to shoot up again. Now notice he crashed in the wall right there. When he crashes in the wall, you know that he's coming down for a pogo, okay? So that's something to pay attention to. Okay, so he's gonna try and grab us. He's gonna swoop again. gonna try and grab us. Shoot up when he tries to grab to hit him. And he pogos. So now we switch to the pogo strat with the unspin manipulation that makes him continue pogoing. He turned red, so we can hit him with our supers now. You generally want to roll under his tail to avoid the damage. Okay, he's swooping. So out of a pogo, that's what I was looking for. Out of a pogo, if he flies up to the right corner of the room in a swoop, what I'll do is I'll charge a shot, okay, and I'll do a crouch jump. You don't have to crouch jump, but it can improve your chances a little bit. From the left side of this platform, and then I'll shoot up into the corner of the room, because that's where he's going to be every single time. And then after that, what I'll do is I'll do a wall jump up on the left side of the room. And that's a little bit slower than the optimal strat, but it's a lot safer. Roll under. Okay, we messed up the manip, so now he's swooping. We messed that up, so now he's swooping again, now he's dead. Hey Tixie, we're not actually doing attempts anymore right now. I'll probably do more later. But I needed to talk about something that I'm actually good at. And I've been meaning to do this for a while, so it's good to get it out of the way. Okay, what am I missing, guys? Help me out. What is unclear about this fight that I haven't referenced being in the other video? Or if you have any like specific questions like, why does Ridley do X sometimes? Be happy to talk about that too. If you take damage from his fireballs, you definitely want to take advantage of those iframes to run through him instead of doing the morph, because you've already taken damage. You're not going to take damage again by trying to run under his tail. And when you run under his tail, you don't have to unmorph before you can continue doing damage. Okay, so like here, oh no, we took damage from his flames. We just want to run under him as he's pogoing, so we can get in position to continue the fight from there. There's that shot. Here's the wall jump I was talking about. I do a pseudo screw sideways charge shot when I do that. And actually, this will be good to talk about. I think this is worth covering in this video. So, pseudo screw wall jumps are interesting. P.S. I covered the different grabs for the fast ends to the fight in those other videos, and you absolutely, for sure, 100% need to learn those. Otherwise, you're gonna end up in a situation where Ridley is dead and you're still trying to kill him and or like avoid damage until he explodes or grabs you, and it's bad. But okay, something interesting about a pseudo screw wall jump. If you're holding charge, Samus will automatically unspin out of the wall jump. So what you need to do is let go of shoot, and then you can do this wall jump with your pseudo screw indefinitely. And as soon as you break spin, Samus will shoot a charge shot. Okay. So you can do that. You can shoot coming out of it, or let's say that you're like doing a wall jump over Ridley and he's under you. You can like aim down and you'll automatically shoot down like that. But just don't. It takes some muscle memory reworking, but don't hold charge when you're trying to do a wall jump like this, or Samus is going to unspin. Okay. So if you need to do like multiple wall jumps, you need to let go of charge. Okay. Clipper said she thinks we're good in terms of talking about Ridley. Okay, so that would have been a pogo. He ended up deciding to swoop instead just because of where I was in the room, I think. I think I was too high into the room. So he got confused and he decided to re-roll and change it to a swoop instead. Generally, if you're not actively shooting at Ridley, you want to stay on the platform. That's something that I hadn't mentioned. Oops. Yep, I talked about getting grabbed in the other video. Sorry if I missed that earlier. Dave. Okay, so like there's one of those. Also, depending on how high you jump during some of these swoops, you can actually manipulate him into doing even higher U swoops, which is really annoying. I haven't actually quite broken that down yet to figure out what causes it or what doesn't, but Overfiend has. I think there's at least one more thing that I want to talk about. If Ridley is off screen, when your charge shot would normally connect with him, it will sometimes go right through him, okay? That can be very apparent coming out of a pogo. Come on, dude. Okay, so like, if we shoot too late there, he's doing a fast swoop now. What a jerk. It happened to me in the last fight where basically if we shoot at the wrong time, it might not even hit him. Even though it would, like, it's weird. It's like he just isn't vulnerable when he's off screen. Like, I don't think it's even that the shot is despawning, but see, like that hit him there. I don't know. Oh, there's a high swoop. So I probably did a jump wrong there that caused that. Another thing to focus on, you want to release shoot for the shortest amount of time possible. Because as soon as you repress it, Samus is going to be priming another charge shot, which allows you to get more DPS in faster, so. But yeah, I think, honestly, I think that's probably about all I have to say about Ridley in terms of PRKD, so. We'll end with that unless anybody has any other questions. If you're just starting out, you should definitely grab this energy tank in here. Just like that. Okay. And then coming out of this room, you just want to do a wall jump up, shoot the door, and then you can do a down grab. Like that, and run out of the room. Or you can just, you know, do a higher jump, land on the edge, or even just hold forward and run through. Okay, so let's talk about this room in reverse. And the lower Norfair escape shouldn't take as long as the entrance to explain. We can probably do lower Norfair and upper Norfair all in one go. Because there's no, like... well, anyway, okay. So as we're coming out of this door, you want to hold shoot. Alright, that'll hit this first viola. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Hitting this viola will reduce lag significantly. So, hold shoot, and then do a short hop onto this little platform here, and then do a bigger jump here, okay? You want to shoot twice as you're landing on this platform, okay? And you can collect both of these drops. You don't want to shoot from higher up because that will cause a lot more lag. Okay, so you want to shoot lower. Again, like as you're landing. Shooting missiles would actually cause more lag. The reason they shoot the missile at the end of the room is to open the door without worrying about hitting the viola with their plasma ice. Because they want to damage boost off the viola at that point. You want to do a low wall jump there to collect both of those drops from these guys that you shot, okay? And then you can just run off this platform, do a short hop, aim down and shoot that bug as it's flying over to the right of you. Shoot the next bug with another angle down shot. Run forward and aim down to do a gap skip to land on this next little platform. Jump, shoot the door. You want to do kind of a high shot. Damage boost off the viola, out of the room. There are non-farming strats here. I've forgotten exactly how they work. So the non-farming strat, I think, is just something like this. And it does save some time. That was a 559. And that was a 652. So what? Wow, I just bit my tongue. Ow. So we only saved like a second there compared to grabbing all these other drops. There are definitely, like, there's other stuff that you can do. But yeah, as a general rule, farming here is almost always worth it. Because you're gonna get supers and other stuff that you want. If you happen to hit this viola, it's not the end of the world. Oops. You can either damage boost off of one of these bugs. Don't do that, that's bad. Or you can just run through the door, and I will explain how that setup works after I explain the usual, the fast one. Okay. Alright. So we have iframes here, so we're not going to take damage from these blue guys. They do a lot of damage. So that's 30 damage per hit compared to the Zebos, the bugs, which are 5 damage. So you definitely, if you have to take a hit from one of these guys, you want to prioritize the bugs at all costs. All right. Okay. So since we have iframes, we can just jump into the acid here. There's two different short charges you can do here. You can either do a non-stutter 2-tap like this. 1, 2. Shoot as you are jumping up through that gap. 1, 2. Angle up, shoot, jump. Basically, I just roll my index finger from shoot to jump here. That's how I do that. And I am pianoing this room. And the blue lets us get through these other blue guys without taking damage. Okay. Or you can like bonk up against this platform right here and do a stutter 1-tap. It is tighter, but it's also a little bit faster. If I can freaking do it. Not a 2-tap, a 1-tap. I swear it's a 1-tap. Maybe it was a 2-tap. No, it's a 1-tap. There it was. Anyway, if you can do it, it's a little bit faster, and it's a good strat. But I personally, I was going for this during my last PB stint right here. I think it's only like 10 frames faster at best. And this is so much more consistent for me, the non-stutter 2-tap from the left side, that I just stick with this. You'll also see some people just run all the way through. I don't actually know where they shoot. Cutie might. Sure he does, actually. Okay, so like probably again through the gap. Then they just jump up, they do a ledge grab. Pretty sure this is what Behemoth does. And he runs through. This is slower. It's not necessarily a bad strat, but it is slower. And I find it harder to do. So. 1, 2. You don't want to land before the door. You also don't want to mock ball in here. You might see some people do that. The mock ball is slower. If you get in here without damage boosting, stop with an angle, and then you can run forward and do a turnaround like this. Or you can morph and unmorph as you come over the corner and do it that way, which is faster. You can also just wait for them to fly over and then damage boost off the bug like that. And then damage boost off that bug maybe somehow. But I usually just do the morph thing. Okay, so that's that room. This room, we don't have to fight the pirates. So we want to shoot through the first one, jump over the second one, do a shot as we're jumping over him. Not too low or it'll get blocked by him. And then you can either aim down or morph through this door. Just the idea is that we don't want to bonk. So aiming down and or morphing shrinks our hitbox. So we're less likely to bonk. Because if we don't, we could definitely bonk, okay? This next room freaking sucks, but there are good setups for it. We want power bombs equipped here, okay? You have a couple different options. One, you can do a non-running spin jump up the middle of this. And at the peak of that jump, Samus will be in a position where she can wall jump off of that block. When the game is checking for wall jumps, notice that most of Samus is still in front of those spikes, but the top of Samus is on this block. The game checks collision detection for Samus from left to right and top to bottom. So since the top of Samus is not in a spot to collide with the spikes, we can do a wall jump there. So yeah, if you're not doing a running jump here, you run forward, you walk forward, you do a spin jump, you tap left, then you move back to the right, and you can just spin jump up that way. You can also like purposely do kind of a later spin jump and align with the right side there. If you just bonk on this part of the wall on your way up. But the issue with that is if you turn too early, you're going to hit the spikes like I did right there. Okay. After you do the wall jump, you want to do an auto morph where you hold jump out of the wall jump and press down immediately. Problem is, if you miss the wall jump, you're going to aim down like that. But basically, you want your morph ball to make it all the way up to the ceiling in this little gap. And if you lay it there, what it does is it leaves this two tile space right here. And we can do a clip like we do in Wrecked Ship to jump up through this, okay? If you do a running jump here, Samus has more vertical momentum, so she moves up faster, which is nice. The problem is, if we do the wall jump too late, we're going to bonk that spike platform from the bottom. You won't actually take damage for that, but it prevents you from laying the power bomb in the right spot. Okay? So what you need to try and do is focus on doing a wall jump from the lower position, and that will prevent you from bonking on that spike platform. And so when I was first doing this, I would do the running jump and I kept bonking, okay? So after that, messed with a few of my runs, I went back and I looked, and it at least at that point, it looked like Zost was doing the non-running jump one. So I switched to that. But then I started missing the wall jump for whatever reason doing this. So I'd be like, oh no, and then I try again, oh no, you know, and then my run is just like over, and that freaking sucks. So I went back to the running one, and that sort of a thing would happen where I'd miss the wall jump, or I'd do it late and bonk, or, you know, whatever. I eventually started doing, so I'll just run forward, and I won't worry about turning around in the air. And I'll bonk on this thing right here. And I mean, you would think that that's the same as doing it with the walking one, but like I said, our vertical momentum is moving us up faster, and so the chances of pushing left to do the wall jump too early are a lot less. And this is what I ended up sticking with in runs, and it worked really well for me. So you don't have to do it that way if you don't want to, but this is what worked best for me. Some people will also do multiple wall jumps like that. It's a little slower, but if you find it more consistent for you, then go for it. The main thing is making sure that you lay your power bomb up next to the top of this little gap here. Okay. Don't let the power bomb boost you up while you're running past it, or it can potentially screw you up getting onto this platform. But that was interesting. Something that's cool about this spike platform is when it's in position, you can push up against it. See, I'm holding right now, and Samus isn't actually running underneath it. Okay? So after you lay the power bomb, you can just hold right, and Samus isn't going to go underneath it. It will fall, and she'll walk on top of it, and then you can just jump up. Okay? And that's a lot better than like trying to time it, for sure. Okay, so then what we want to do is jump up here and then do a spin jump and manually press an angle when we get in this little gap to get Samus in position to jump up through the block. If you don't press an angle, she's not going to do that. You can shoot too, if that's more comfortable for you. The idea is just that we need to force Samus out of the spin jump pose into a higher pose. Okay. Now we want a damage boost off this Deskiga. I'm making this look like you don't need to worry about this damage boost at all, but I cannot freaking tell you how many times in the last stint of my runs I did that. The reason that happens is if you end up damage boosting off of a Deskiga when it's in a lower position. So notice it's doing a hop and sometimes ending up like on the statue. if you boost off of it in that position when it's lower on the statue, you're going to end up bonking on your damage boost. There isn't really a way around it. If that happens, honestly, I don't have a backup. I just run forward and hope for the best. But hopefully that doesn't happen and you get the right damage boost. Now, if you get the right damage boost, what you want to do is you want to land in between these two pillars in the background. And then you want to do a non-stutter 2-tap, short charge, into a speedball. 1, 2. 1, 2. Which will let us get out through the tunnel. Okay? 1, 2. If you don't boost far enough, you're going to get bonked by one of these Deskiga. If you try and stutter, you're going to get bonked by a Deskiga. If you try and do a 3-tap, you might get bonked by a Deskiga, depending on what pattern it gives, or you might not. 3-tap is a lot easier in terms of doing the actual speedball inputs because you have a lot less forward speed at that point. If you do a 2-tap, you have to do a really short hop speedball, or you're going to end up bonking the wall. Okay. Whereas a 3-tap, you have a little bit more room. 3-tap is also slower. But yeah, the idea is to get a speedball out through the tunnel and onto the statue. QD posted some ramblings about the key hunter manipulation in the next room a while ago, and his ramblings were related to Behemoth Strat. I don't actually remember the specifics of them. What I do know is that when I tried to copy Behemoth Strat before, I had a really freaking hard time with it. I couldn't make it consistent. But QD said that he got it consistent, and I trust QD in his setups because he's really good with setups. So here's the thing that freaking sucks about this next room. These key hunters are going to be in their positions based on how you move through the room. Okay? These key hunters do 50 damage, which is a lot. And we don't want to take damage from them. But when we're coming up here, a lot of the time, they're going to be in a spot like this, where not taking damage from them can be pretty hard. Regardless, no matter what you do here, you want it to be roughly the same every single time so that you can develop better and more consistent strats for avoiding the key hunters altogether. If this were the situation that we were in, I would probably time it so that I would wait until that key hunter right there was doing its fly to the right thing, and then I'd ball up through. See, and I totally screwed it up there and I took damage, and we would be dead if I was doing a normal run right now because I wouldn't have grabbed the Ridley tank. Okay, so you'll speedball, you'll land on this this little ledge here. Shoot up to open the door, jump and ball, and hold right. And as long as you don't do it, as long as you don't jump and ball too quickly, you won't bonk the door there. There's something else that QD explained in his video about that as well, but I don't recall. Okay. As long as you did that correctly, you're gonna end up where if you hold left through this door, you'll land on this ledge. You want to lay your bomb so that it's not right up next to the statue, but also not like hanging off the corner like that. Basically, you want the right side of the bomb to be more or less aligned with the right side of the platform there, okay? Then you unmorph, you shoot to cancel the bomb, bouncing Samus up. Shoot, morph, roll left, And then you want to lay your first bomb when you touch this first block. You want to wait for a very short space of time, and you want to scroll back so that this block is basically off screen. Okay, so you just have that little one tile gap down below on the edge of the screen. Or maybe it was you roll back immediately and then wait for just a tick. And then roll back. I think that's what it was. Then you wanna lay your bombs again so that they're touching the blocks. And here you just want to mash. I don't think you need to place those 3 bombs. I know that Cutie wasn't. You don't want to roll back there after that second one. The 3 bombs is just kind of a habit for me. You want to ledge grab. You want to land. And then you want to do a buffered spin jump to the right after you land, after the ledge grab. Nope. I feel like I'm mashing too fast there, or not fast enough. Depending on where that key hunter is, you can compensate. But if you did it correctly, the next 2 key hunters should be in a spot where you can just get right past them. Okay? And that is definitely the worst part of this room. Okay, so he wasn't even in the way that time. Oh, now we have one in the way right there. So I don't know why that happened. Again, so that video that I linked has Cutie rambling about it for like 6 minutes, and he shows a bunch of different stuff that can happen. So I would definitely recommend giving it a watch. But yeah, hey Sasha Boss. More or less, like I said to start, the idea for this room is just that you want to do kind of the same thing every time so that you get used to. Okay, the key hunters aren't going to do the same thing every time because you're not a computer who is going to do everything frame perfectly the same thing every time, right? But if you can get used to basically the different things that they might do, you're going to be in a better spot than you would just blindly doing different things every time and not being able to follow a pattern, right? You want to get to the point where you can predict what's going to happen based on what you see to begin with, or based on, you know, oh, like my bomb was a little bit late that time, so probably what's going to happen is the key hunter is going to be in this sort of a spot. Like that's kind of what you want to watch out for with this room. Okay. So even though I didn't end up doing this setup in any of my runs, because I was done with my grind before Cutie made his video, I would still recommend going with this setup because it does seem pretty consistent. I know that when I've watched Behemoth's runs, he rarely ever has an issue with the key hunter positions. And for me, I quite often had an issue with the key hunter positions. Oh, that was interesting. Okay. Honestly, that's all I have to say about this room. I'm not going to waste your guys' time on it anymore, especially because I know it's getting late on the East Coast. That second bomb was way too early, so let's see what happens. Oh, okay. If the key hunter is up there, you can try and morph under him. It's really hard, but it is possible to avoid damage if you do it correctly. Just FYI. I don't know why I'm so bad at that buffer jump. You know, if I just hold jump right here. Nope. Need to release and then repress. Or no. Press jump as you're falling off for the buffer jump. That's what it is. And then push right when you land. You'll automatically do a buffer spin jump to the left. There. Okay, we rolled under him. If I'd been a little bit more careful there, we probably could have avoided damage. There we go. Up through. You want to shoot up when you get here. What that will do is it will break all of the blocks, and then you can just you can do a normal jump up, and you can do a down grab, or you can do a wall jump up here at the top. If you're facing left and you jump and turn around, you can do a wall jump. If you just spin up, if you just jump up to the right, it's not going to work because of that weird one tile non-CWJ jump thing. So you'd have to oops, you'd have to do a wall jump off the right wall instead of the left wall in that case. Okay, let's get out of this room. Gosh dang it, dude. I don't know why that's so hard for me right now. What the? That was bad. Shoot up. I'll jump up. When you open the door, you want to hold shoot. What I do is I shoot and then I claw. And I run through the door, and then you want to jump through this door, okay? All right. Then you want to hold angle or down so you can finish charging your shot if it wasn't finished charging already. You get on this lip here. And then from there, you basically just want to hold a pseudo screw this entire time. You do a spin jump up onto this ledge, and then again here. And then you want to do a wall jump off of that Namihe. And the nice thing about having a pseudo screw here is you won't take damage from the boulders as long as you're in a pseudo screw when you touch them, okay? The less wall jumps you do off the Namihe, the better, but you do want to do it off that this third one. And then if you time it correctly, you can just jump right back up. You can avoid that flame. Like that. Okay. There is a strat where if you jump at the right time, I actually think I pianoed this room. Anyway, if you jump at the right time, you can avoid this boulder up here, like not break it and make it around the corner. And it is a little bit faster than doing the wall jump, but it's so tight. I think I got it like 1 out of every 20 times or something. And if you miss it, then you have to do an aim down over that boulder, and then like, it just gets awkward. So it's better, honestly. It wasn't that much faster. It was only a few frames faster. It's better to just wall jump off this Namihe and do it that way. Okay. All right. And then what I started doing this most recent time through PRKD, and it worked for me, when I get up top, basically, I would not try to short charge, but I would just like run forward and like, I would just kind of like tap on dash a couple times and then shoot as you're coming over this mound as the camera's scrolling, and then repress dash. And you shouldn't fall off of this mound right here. If you have the wrong run speed here, you're gonna fall off of this slope right here. And that's bad because one, it's slower, and two, it puts you in an awkward position to try to like jump over this. So again, I just kind of like tap on dash a couple times, then shoot, then repress dash, angle down, and you should be able to make it through here without falling off this slope, okay? The other thing, you don't have to do it this way, but what most people do is they select a missile, and then they shoot the missile right before they jump. And if you time it correctly, you're gonna hit that Dragoon Alcoon thing. So you won't bonk into it as it's jumping up out of the floor. This is another thing that I piano, by the way. I do an aim down jump. So basically I shoot, I jump, and then I aim down. And what that does for us is it lets us, potentially if we do it correctly, we do a short hop and we get under this stalactite, okay? You also can just do a higher aim down jump earlier in the room and just not spawn them to begin with and avoid using the missile. And that might be easier. The thing is, there is a possibility of bonking this stalactite right here. There is a way that it can happen, okay? It's not necessarily likely, but it's possible. So just be aware of that. It's a lot less likely to happen if you bonk the ceiling before it while aiming down, for example. But yeah, so you can either do that or you can do the missile strat. Which is 10 to 15 frames faster, I think. If you get the right run speed here, you'll jump higher. That's not super important. The main thing is that you just want to try to avoid ledge grabbing all three of those, because that is quite a bit slower. You want to jump up onto this one and then do a second jump up onto the top one. Hey Dilla, thanks for the follow, man. We're almost done with this for tonight, guys. Okay, and then jump through the door. And we have 3 Musketeers. Okay. Here's the thing about 3 Musketeers. Just like the other Key Hunter room, the way that you move is going to influence how the Key Hunters are positioned in this room. So, regardless of whatever your strat is, or whatever your strats are, you want to make sure that you have a full understanding of how to deal with the Key Hunter positions based on where they are when you get to them with the strat that you did, okay? So, I have 2 main strats here. One of them is a YOLO and the other one is a safe one. We'll go over the safe one first. You land here, you do 2 relatively high jumps. Okay, like this. You do a mock ball down through this gap, through the tunnel. You unmorph, not necessarily on the far right side, but sort of more on the right side of that gap. You stay in crouch. And you jump up. You don't try to ledge grab or anything here. You do a pretty loose jump up, like that, okay? From there, you jump up here, and you do ledge grab to the left of the first key hunter. That will make him charge you. Predictably, he'll charge you every single time. And what you want to do is run forward and do an aim down jump over him. And as you are jumping over him, or as he is flying under you, you want to release on down. And what that will do is, like I've discussed previously, stop Samus's forward momentum, which manipulates the key hunter above to turn left and start flying to the left. Now the reason that's important is because it then gives you more space to deal with that key hunter. So you jump up, you morph, and you roll under him. And then if everything goes exactly the way we want it to, this top key hunter will either be in a position kind of in the middle, flying left, where we can morph over him like we did, or best case scenario, he does a fly right swoop. And I'm gonna see if we can get him to do that. Like that. And then he's just out of the way. And you can get up. So I'm gonna do this a few more times, just so people can see it. If you do end up in a spot where you need to avoid that top one, because it does happen sometimes, you can either morph over him like that. You can do an aim down jump over him as he's flying down. You don't want to try and do it while he's flying up, because that makes it a lot harder. Okay. Or you can morph and just time it and roll under him as he's in an upper position, okay? The main thing that I cannot stress enough about this key hunter, do not panic. He's not that scary. You have a ton of room to deal with him, okay? These other two down here, these are really cramped spaces, so you have a lot less room to deal with them, okay? But this one up here, like, the only time that you should be afraid of him is if he is all the way over here on the left when you're trying to jump up. Otherwise, like, I'm not saying don't take him seriously, because he can and will kill your run. But if you end up like screwing up and you're in a spot where, like, for example, let's say he's like chasing you, and sometimes your wave beam, let me see if I can make it happen. Sometimes your wave beam isn't going to break the middle block. Okay. There's a block there. I know it's really dark, so it's hard to see, but we can't jump up here because there's a block here. Like, don't panic, you know. He's chasing us over to the right. Oh crap, the block's still here. Just kind of inch over to the right, roll under him, shoot it, and jump up. Okay. The YOLO strat, you want to do shorter jumps over these statues. This entrance isn't the best, but should still be able to do it. And then you do want to ledge grab here. This is my YOLO strat. There are definitely different ones. For me, I find it best to body hit the first key hunter, boom, and then run through the second one. And again, like if you did the first part of the room correctly, hopefully that top key hunter will swing over to the right, but he didn't that first time. And that's part of why this is a YOLO strat. Like, you don't want to do this unless you can tank at least 2 hits here. See? Okay, so we took 2 hits. Okay, now we're dead. Right. But the idea is that you want to abuse iframes coming through these. And again, I think the setup for this room is screwed up. I think my jump through the door wasn't quite correct. So I might not be able to show the right strat, but it's in my splice. Okay, that was good. Okay, so that was a 912. Avoiding them using the safe strat. Oh, nice. Turned off the music. Is usually like a 10, like a mid 10. Oh, that's another thing. If you're in iframes, but you're like, okay, let's just go, and you try and shoot up, this key hunter can block your shots. So just be aware of that. Ow. Yeah, so that's like an 1126. If you do it completely perfectly, I'm pretty sure you can get like a 1030-ish, 1040. But, yeah. Anyway, okay, let's move on. You want to enter this room. Basically, so you want to be on the left side of this, or the right side of this thing after the gap. You want to run through the door. There's only a few rooms to go over in Upper Norfair, so we're just going to do that really fast. You want to jump and aim down here. That will get you onto this second stair here on the way out. And then do another short hop up here. And do quick drops down through these blocks. Okay? 1, 2, 3. You want to be on the right side of these blocks. And then you want to do spin jumps up over these statues. You want to bonk the ceiling while you're still in spin jump, or even you could even like break spin to bonk the ceiling earlier. And the reason you want to bonk is so that you can lay your bombs earlier, because if you morph into the ceiling, it's going to be longer before you can lay your bombs, okay? And the reason we want to lay our bombs earlier is because if we get through this room quickly enough, we can do a ball boost off of the viola, which actually saves a bit of time, okay? So you want to lay your bombs as early as possible. That first one was too far away. As your second bomb is exploding on the ground, you want to run through that block. And do the same thing here. Get a mock ball. We're just a little bit too slow to get the ball boost there. When I was first trying to do this ball boost, I swore it was like the hardest freaking thing in the entire world. And eventually I just realized that, you know, I'm losing 3 frames here and 4 frames here and whatever, and like, you'll figure it out. I think maybe we don't want to be on the right side there. Okay. So yeah. Stupid screamy face guy doesn't move in the other. Oh. Yeah, so it's funny. Like in Parlor, for example, most of the gamers, most of the little crawly guys don't move. but there's one Geemer or two Geemers that do move throughout the entire room, regardless of whether they're on screen or not. So it's not tied, whether an enemy moves or not off screen is not tied to enemies specifically. Basically, Deer Force just gave some enemies the ability to move off screen and other ones not. So, but yeah, basically that's the idea. Like, you just want to get through here as quickly as possible to try and get the ball boost. You can let go of jump instead of bonking the ceiling. That's what I was doing initially when I was going for the ball boost. But, I mean, if you miss it, it's not the end of the world. The other thing to keep in mind is sometimes you're going to be coming out of here with, like, no health. And these guys do 12 damage. So if you don't have at least 13 HP, don't do it, or you'll die. Okay? If you happen to miss it, or you have to miss it on purpose because of HP... Oops. You just fall down, jump right back up, and go. Or if, like, you were really slow because you really screwed up the room, or maybe you're just out of practice or whatever, or unpracticed. Again, like, it's okay, it's not a big deal. There he is, you jump up. Now you get a free drop, and you go through the door, okay? Run through the door. This room's actually really fun. You want to do a jump up here, shoot the cack, shoot the waiver, shoot the next waiver with an aim down shot, equip power bombs, lay your power bomb as you're passing this mound. You can jump up and collect this drop if you want. You don't have to. If it's like a small health, I would skip it. If it's a missile, I'd probably skip it. If it's a super, I'd definitely grab it, etc. So, like, I'd skip that. If you are grabbing whatever the drop is, you want to do that immediately. Oh, that's right. Instead of laying up there, sorry, you actually want to lay down below, down here, because that way it will also kill this Nova here for you to collect its drop. Boop. And then go down through the door, okay? Yeah, so basically you do a spin jump up, you go back down, you wall jump off there, you go down through the door. If you are skipping the drop, you can also do, basically you can do like a quick drop turn as the blocks are breaking. You can time a shot too, and then do like an unmorph down back to collect the drop. We can do it. There we go. So you can collect the drop that way, avoid bonking, and go down through the door. Okay? All right. If you did Kraid first, you're going to want to farm down here for supers. That's one of the major benefits to doing Kraid after Ridley, is that we really need super missiles right now, going into Meridia. So we can get those supers in Kraid really easily for mini Kraid, but if we're not going there, then you want to farm here, probably. Otherwise, just jump across the gap, arm pump through this room. You can shoot the door as you're passing under this part of the ceiling. Do a jump as you're going through the door. You don't want to jump too high, preferably. If you time your jump correctly, you'll make it all the way across. And you can shoot the door preemptively too and make it, but you probably will have to do an aim down to land on the upper part of the room, because if you don't, you're gonna bonk and then you have to jump up. And then you want to do a wall jump check out of the door. If you happen to miss this for whatever reason, like if you bonk the door, usually what I do is I'll jump over the save station, just in the interest of not accidentally screwing myself and, oh no, I saved and now I'm losing like 4 seconds for no reason, right? So if you wait to open the door, that's a 52. That's a 42 if you shoot the door prematurely, or not prematurely, preemptively. Aim down. Okay. Wall jump check out of the door. Immediately wall jump back up here. Shoot this Nova, shoot up. And you may as well shoot up again, because that will kill that Nova as well. So if you need a drop, you can collect it. It will be a little bit slower to collect. If you don't want to collect it, you just want to jump up on the left like that. And that would be a little bit faster. When you go up this elevator, you want to have supers selected because we're going into Kraid now. And yeah, that is all of Norfair, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. We survived. We're out. We're done forever. All right. You can also, rather than doing a wall jump check, you can do a straight jump out, shoot that Nova. I think this is what Behemoth does, actually. Like that or something. Anyway, there are other options, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But who wants to use the world record holder Strat? Just kidding. I prefer the right wall, but going the other way might be faster. It's kind of hard to test room times in rooms like these just because of the elevator, but... So yeah, I have super selected going up the elevator, and yeah, like I said, that's Norfair. So we'll call that good for the tech talk today. How long did that take? Longer than I was expecting, but 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours for effectively 2 segments. We're not done, King of the Hill. We're done with PRKD tech talk. How's it going? Were you doing RBO runs? Yo, you did it? You did it like the same day that you were complaining about having to do it. That's sick, man.